you can reread this question as something like being an organization sounds really time consuming. We're too busy. How are we supposed to become an organization when we don't have time for it? Like that question is funny, right? But when an organization becomes when those two terms become synonymous, it's going to sound weird. Yes. Question. It says, being open sounds really time consuming. We're too busy. How are we supposed to be a more open organization when we just don't have time for it?
The thing that I like to say in response to it takes too much time to be open, I like to start with thinking about what you have to do to make a strategy. So in order to create a strategy for a project or for your organization, you need to step back and take time. And once you've put time into a strategy, then you know what to do. You know how to implement it. You can create processes and structures around the strategy because you know the direction that you're going in. And in an open organization and being open, it's a lot like that. You invest time up front so that you can go faster later. So yes, it feels time consuming when you've never done it before. But once you get into the habit of it, things start to accelerate at quite a pace, because when things are open, people have the information and the context that they need. They are able to find information more quickly. They know who to talk to. There's trust in the organization. So it's an investment up front to learn how to do it. But once you get into the habit of being open, it really does just accelerate and just exponentially grow from there.
I think it's always interesting to hear these questions because, and it's not, I don't think it's even just because people like us have been doing this. It's just that to me, it's change, and any change or any adjustment to your current structures or policies or processes all require you to do something. Like you said, Laura, there's a strategy process. You're going to follow it the same way. Your answers are just going to look different this time. And then what you're designing and developing might look a little different this time. And I think kind of that initial reaction that people have if this is going to take too long to do or to figure out, I think it's like, we got to kind of call you on that one. It's not different than any other strategy you're putting forward of what you need to do. I think to your point, like that investment really comes in when you go to do adoption and implementation of the new processes, because then it's going to take time for people to get comfortable and to adjust behaviors and to get into new routines and new patterns, and to learn what it feels like being in community and doing things in a more collaborative, co-creative way. Like that's where things get to be more of the time consuming part, is allowing that to kind of take root and formalize itself. I just think that it's like most change we encounter with people is people are already burnt out, we're already tired, we're already dealing with a myriad of issues at hand. And it feels like you're adding to that instead of saying, no, we're actually going to help you decompress from that and make your life better. It just, we just got to get you through that piece. So, yeah.
I think about it sort of like a law of thermodynamics, but apply it to project planning. Like time is neither created nor destroyed. You just shift it around, right? So my question is, first of all, my response is to someone who says being open sounds like it's time consuming. Yes. Good. I've described it well then, because it is. But it's sort of like speed of execution versus speed of preparation, right? So what do you want to be fast, and where do you want to move more slowly? This is just kind of another way to put the excellent points that you've already made, which is, do you want to spend your time floundering around because nobody's clear on the strategy, or nobody feels included, or you have stakeholders who respond midway through the execution that you didn't know you had to loop in, or whatever? Or do you want to spend it being open at the front and take a lot of time getting it right? As Laura said, planning your strategy, being inclusive, getting feedback, checking with stakeholders, being transparent, publishing updates, getting things ready. Yeah, it takes a lot of time, but when you're ready to pull it off, it can go a lot faster. So again, it's sort of the thermodynamics of where you want your time to go. Do you want to waste time in the back end when you are floundering around, or do you want to put your time into the front, making sure everybody is good to go, and then your execution goes a lot more smoothly. So, choice is yours. I prefer the open way.
I totally agree with you on that. That was such a great way to look at it. I also feel like it's one of those things I feel like people in our group have been saying for a while, like a really long while. Back me up on this one, Laura. But it's like, I think we're out of time to even have this discussion.
Yeah.
Even though we just said time just moves around, but we're out of time because it's almost a moot point to have the excuse or the reasoning at this point of why you shouldn't do it. We're moving so rapidly towards open structures and open data and open sourcing, like insert open with whatever there in terms of what your work you're doing or where you're doing your work at, that you almost the train's leaving the station at this point. So how quickly can we help you get started so then you can begin to work through that, because this is where we're going. I think for more than a decade you've been saying the future is built on open. Guess what? We're here.
There's a African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And we are, at this point in time, we're all trying to get somewhere together. We have massive global issues that we need to be addressing, and we're not going to be able to do it alone. Nobody's going to be able to do it alone. And we have to go together. And, we're going to everybody needs to invest a little bit of time, but I completely agree. There's really no more discussion about, but we're too busy, so we can't. We should all be working in organizations that really, value the input of our colleagues and create spaces where that kind of collaboration and co-creation is championed.
And one way to think about it might be to say, like, if what we say is true and eventually open organization is just going to become synonymous with organization, you can reread this question as something like being an organization sounds really time consuming. We're too busy. How are we supposed to become an organization when we don't have time for it? Like that question is funny, right? But when an organization becomes when those two terms become synonymous, it's going to sound weird. Yes, that's just kind of how things are going to work.